And thank you all of you for being today. We will try not to bore you to death. So, because the idea is to have some exchange and to give you some examples, some inputs about how it's been CATALISI for us and the improvements that we have been done. So just very brief about me. I work as a secretary, as Sandra say, in the different research committees of ethics in animals and integrity. I work in an office which is focused almost in management, different kind of topics related to research, and one of them is ethics of research. So this is the one area, the topic that I'm going to present, and Ramon after me is going to explain two different areas. So the idea of this communication is explain some problems that we have been facing and achieving as during the process that we are implementing CATALISI, and also the needs that we try to solve, and how CATALISI give us some inspirations in some parts, and of course the things that still have to be done, because we are work in progress, as you as you experience yourself. So this is the idea. Okay, we are going to work in this different in this structure. So the first part, I would like to introduce no, no, it's okay, it's okay. Perfect. This is Ramon. This is not our entire team, but I would like to talk a little bit about them, because they have been the strength of the CATALISI project, and also before that, all the implementations that we have been done in the change of ethical structures and governance in the UJI. It's been done because Ramon, it's the motor of that, it's the strength of that, and he really believe in what are we doing, and also our vice rector Jesus Lances, because as we say in very different situations, webinars, I mean, everywhere when we go, we say it is absolutely necessary that you have some of the heads at the university with a great commitment in some kind of projects, because otherwise it's really, really complicated. Um, because the topics are tough, the work is tough, and you have few resources. So if the heads of the university don't believe in your ideas or in your project, the implementation, it's very, very complicated. So I always want to be very, very thankful for to the two of them. So okay, this is our current structure. Just very, very quickly, because some of you already know our structure. So now we have this Ethics and Research Integrity Committee, which is working as some kind of theoretical and ethical umbrella. And they're autonomous, but at the same time, they're using the framework that the Ethics and Research Integrity Committee are create. And we have the Committee on Ethics in Human Research and also in Animal Experimentation. And at the same time, we are working on the Biosafety Committee, which is, spoiler alert, this is something that we have to be I mean, we don't have it yet. We're working on it. And also we have the secretary, the RRI officer, because we don't have an office. We just have one person, me, I'm the office and the officer at the same time. So this is our current structure. Okay, so you have this in mind. Okay, so which was our main issue these years? Because we have been done a great job. I mean, is there, this is something like, okay, how what is your worst part? That we have been done this so well that create a problem for us. And in the past years, we try to create some campaigns to conscience the research community and the staff on the university. And our idea was to try to get them on board on this in the good practices, in the procedures that the committees have to be done, all these kind of things, all related to integrity and ethics. So the problem is that they have been listening to us. So now we have a lot of applications and a lot of questions. So to give you some idea that the increase that we have been suffering, you can say this is in Spanish, but it's okay because we can pay attention just to the numbers. In 2020, if you can see the first column, it's in human research. We have been evaluating 81 applications, okay? And in animal experimentations, 7. This is in 2020, okay? So let's see how this evolves. This is now in 2024. You can see how we have been suffering some increase. Now we have 1,038 applications in total. I mean, in human evaluations, and in animals, we have been receiving 8. So the numbers are really high. I mean, and we have been counted with the same resources that we have been taking into account since we start the project. So that's a main issue. It's also a good thing because it means that our research community understands the relevance of ethics and understand the relevance of integrity, but it has created a high impact on the application number. So this is me at 3 a.m. when I am arrived to the university. I'm very happy. I'm trying to do this with my, I have this is my ideal agenda. Just I have to program the schedule for the whole week. It's like, okay, we are going to do good things. We are going to fight against bad practices. Yeah. And this is me 5 minutes later when I realize the real work that we have to do in the work, in the day, during the week. It's been really overwhelming because we don't have the, I mean, the applications, as you see, have been higher, but also the complexity on the research, it's been different from the beginning. So this has been very challenging, okay? This is me at the end of the day, like absolutely overworked. This is absolutely, I'm really white. I'm white like this. So this is how I see and how I show that we absolutely need some change in this part. How to solve this problem, how to achieve, because there is no way to reduce the applications. I mean, that, as I said before, is a good thing. We have to deal with that. But in some way, we also realize that some of the researchers, they apply in very different moments, very similar things. And one of them, they are not very complex, but they are very similar to the past projects. So we decide that we have to make some change in this part in order to achieve this need or try to solve this problem. So this is how we work, how we used to work in the past. It was awesome because we had the opportunity to meet all of us, and we dedicate a lot of time to debate, to exchange some ideas, to point it out some problems, some different kind of solutions. It was really, really interesting, but it was also time consuming. And so when we traveled to Amsterdam and talking to them, they have a lot of experience in this, and they saw us that there is another possibility of solve and work with the procedures on the applications to it to the committee. So we decide to make some modifications in this part. As Ramon, can you go in the slides before? Yes. So now we are working as if we were in some way a peer review. We assignate some project to a peer review, and they create some conclusions, and before that we do some technical evaluations in ethical parts and also in data protection, and that it's been absolutely helpful because you can change if you want, Ramon, because we really reduced the times that the committee was dedicating to projects that they were similar, but also we are reducing the time that the researchers have been waiting for the results. So I think this has been something very a very good outcome. And as I say before, the University of Amsterdam was very relevant in this part because they give us some very interesting ideas and we try to implement here. So the next problem, and is related to the other one, we receive an amount of doubts, okay, because the research are more complex, and also there are more researchers involved in these practices because they try to do it properly. So we are receiving a lot of questions. So at the same time, we realize, Ramon, can you change the slide? That no, before, okay, this one, perfect. That we need to reduce the time dedicated to the questions, but also we have been analyzing that all the questions are very repetitive. So we try to think about that, how we can achieve and give some relevant answers to the community, but also how can we avoid the repetitions and the time consuming that we were dedicating to this part. So the idea, you can change now, and also this is when we had the meeting at the UJI, and all the inputs were very interesting because they have different kind of approach, not just from a research view, but also from a business model, from the communication part. It was really helpful. So we tried to create a chatbot. You can change the slide. So the idea, and this is we are running this now. We are doing the test part now and making some adjustments just to launch it to the whole community. But the idea was to capture these kind of questions that don't need the intervention of me, for example, but we are not using artificial intelligence because we try in some part, but we realize that there are some gaps on the information and could be lead to some misinformation. So we decided to create it in some close way. So it's a chatbot, but it's not if you ask something different that we have been thinking about it, you don't have a specific answer, but there is a good part of this because we can review the questions, and these give us the opportunity to highlight some questions that maybe we don't think before. We can introduce it later. So it's a work in progress during the use of the chatbot, and it's almost done. It's also been very challenging, more than we expected, because there are technical parts and also the part of the the topics and has to be very accurate, all the information. But it's been really, really interesting, and I'm pretty sure that it would be great when we launch it. So the next problem that we faced, because this is the complexity, as I say before, the complexity of the research. So now we are dealing with things like artificial intelligence and on the research on projects and applications, and also something different that it's more related to the picture, which is a to what picture you can see. This is a 3 model organs. This kind of research is doing in animal research, and it's very challenging because we don't have a specific outcomes to guide the committees to make good decisions about it, and also to give some very relevant advice, because for us it's been absolutely necessary from the beginning to help the community. So we try to work with them through the process that they apply to the committees. So those kind of topics, we have more, but I just I would like to highlight this too, has been very talented, and the specific needs was give, and in both ways, we need some guidance for us as committees, and also we need some guidance for the community, for the researchers, and realize that we try to implement some changes. Okay, the idea, you can change the slides if you want. The idea was introduce these new topics bit by bit, because we don't have all the answers yet. In fact, the regulation in artificial intelligence is very new in Europe, but we are trying to incorporate these ideas on the code of good practices on research and the doctorate program. Um, and we are inspiring us in other universities that they are doing this, and also in regulations. For instance, the regulation, the European regulation in artificial intelligence, and also in animal welfare. And in order to try to update this information, because the world on research is changed really fast, and also in the technical part it's really, really fast. And sometimes we have the feeling, the sensations that we can go at the same time as the research is changing. But the idea to try to avoid a gap in the time was review the code of good practices. The last review was this year. We have the second version of this, and we have introducing so many changes, and all are the result of questions that we have been taking into consideration during these past years, in this case in artificial intelligence, but also in other specific areas. Okay, so just to sum up, okay, you have this idea, this conclusion, the problems that we have been trying to solve, and the needs that they are connected to them, and also the implementation that we have been done yet, or we have been finished already, and the inspiration. And in this part, it's been really, really interesting, the exchange with other institutions, and especially with institutions that have uh, a really very relevant background in some of these parts, because sometimes you don't have to embed something very different, something very innovator. Sometimes you have to just adapt to your institutions things that they are already proved and done in other institutions. So you can And the things, just to conclude, and I leave the floor to Ramon. These are the things that need to be done. Okay, one thing is increased resources. This is something that it's very common in all universities, institutions. I think that almost in everywhere. And also, we are trying to create a new committee in biosafety. This has been really, really challenging because it's a very technical part, and it's a complicated regulation, but it's very relevant because we have been seeing an increase in also in those kind of topics. Also, we're trying to strengthen integrity structures, doing those changes that I explained, but also trying to stay very updated and trying to participate in other networks in a national level and also in a local level. This is connected to other thing that we have to reinforce, that it's related to local networks. It's already in progress. We have created, and this is something that we also saw at the University of Amsterdam. We have already created some local network, and it's been really, really helpful. But we are trying to, we have to create a more defined structure and in more solid way, but this takes time. And also, we need to improve awareness about integrity. We have been done this before with the training courses, with the webinars, and different kind of dissemination. But we have to do this all the time because as I say before, the changes are very fast, and we need to be updated. We need to help the research community. So for my part, this is it. And oh no, this is not it. I forget the best part. um, I love this joke because one thing that the researchers always complain is that we don't have to say anything about the methodology. And this is a very very useful complaint. So I really I really want to show this joke because shows perfectly why ethics is relevant and why integrity is relevant on researchers, no, on or research. Because if you don't have a good methodology, it's very usual that your research is going to be fail in some parts. As we say in the joke, I mean, house cat, of course, is not in the medium. So it's the conclusion that the scientific arrives is the house cat is not intelligent, but that you can see it's not a good conclusion if we understand good methodology. So that's it for me, and I leave you the floor, Ramon.
Thanks a lot, Laura. I would like to thank you as well for all the work you're doing in UJI. I mean, you mentioned us before, but as you know, your work is crucial, and what you're doing in the on the field of research ethic is very important at our university. And as you can see, we have many challenges at that part. At the same time, in CATALISI, we are working as well on other two big intervention areas. Which I will present now in some minutes, some of the outcomes we have and some of the challenges that are still open. And these two intervention areas are linked to open science at one part, and the other part is the reform of the evaluation system. That, as you know, is a big topic not only in Spain, but it is an international topic now with coalitions like COARA, which is now under discussion in many places and countries. One thing that we discovered when we started with CATALISI, and this was something we learned as well from a previous European project, which was called Ethos System, is that it is very nice and important, it's obvious, crucial to have an action plan coming from the project, since that give you guidance and this helps to have a goal during the project. But at the same time, it's very important to have action plans that are not only part of the project, but are part of the institution. So as Laura mentioned before, you really need the agreement and you need to have on board the top management of your university in order to bring change. As we all know, to bring change in university is something very, very complex. It needs time and it needs commitment. And it needs commitment of many different structures. So something that we invested, especially in the first year, a lot of time and energy was to define and approve 2 action plans on the 2 topics that we were dealing with, on open science on one part and on research assessment on the other part. We were lucky here at the same time because in Spain there are being some changes at the national level coming from the policy on both sides. So it was quite useful for us in order to find agreements and to find people to work with within the university. So we invested, as I said, a lot of time working on these documents. You can find these documents in 3 different languages: Valenciano, which is our local language, Spanish, and English. And here we define the actions that we are going to develop in the next years till 2027. So even after CATALISI is finished, UJI is still committed to bring changes on these 2 aspects, on open science and research assessment, in the future. So this is quite, we think is a good news, it's quite positive. And now we are working on the specific aspects that we have in this both action plans. And we have many elements that we have been doing. To summarize this in a few minutes is almost impossible, and maybe it's far too specific. So what I would like now to explain a little bit is much more linked to some things that we have been doing with CATALISI and as well with some other partners, and so we can open the discussion later. One of the goals that we have been doing, and one of the initiatives, is to launch a survey on all the topics that we are working on CATALISI, and this survey includes different questions that were agreed previously as well with some CATALISI partners, especially with the University of Amsterdam, with our partners from Amsterdam, and from the University of Cork. So we had some common questions that were of interest of the 3 universities, and we gathered information about that. Obviously, we have been focusing on the 2 big topics as well, open science and research assessment. We did this during November and December last year, 2024. Our university, the full-time researchers are almost 1,000 researchers, academics. We got 330 responses, which is not bad. We were hoping for a bit more, but it's a good figure. And we got a lot of information on crucial topics for us. For us, it was important as well to know 2 things. At one side, the knowledge of our researchers on different topics, especially on the top 2 topics that we are working on, and the interest and the concerns about different topics. You can change the university, but if you don't know what your researchers and what your academics thinks on that topics, it's very difficult to change things. First, we need to have the knowledge about their concerns and about what they are thinking on this topic. So we gathered a lot of information, and we have to be aware that the Spanish evaluation system, till very recently, this has now been changing in the last months, I have to say, but it's a system that is very much based on metrics, especially on the impact factor, which is then crucial in order to get finance, to get promotions, to get a job at university. So you need really to score very high in your publications rate in order to promote at the university. This is something very well known. So we asked to our academics in the survey, okay, what are the concerns about this quantitative evaluation system? What do you think about this? Do you think it's positive, it's negative? What would you consider about this? And we found some interesting responses here. Many of them we already knew from the literature, but it was good to see this from our own university. And we saw that some of the key concerns are, the things that you can see here on the slide. Researchers are concerned about the effect of the quantitative indicators on the diversity of the scientific contribution. So the researchers really focused only on publishing papers and normally hot topics in order to get high level of citations. They were as well concerned about if this maybe excludes some other activities that are very important, like, for instance, teaching or other activities with society. Some others show, this is from 1 to 5, so you can understand the figure, a concern about the psychological effect of the quantitative indicators. And there is a concern as well, and this is very much worked already in the academic literature, about how quantitative indicators could bring and could foster research misconduct in aspects like duplication of publication and so forth. So we see this concern, but at the same time, when we do in another question in the same survey, okay, but what would you consider to be the most important aspect? How would you rate the academics? What mechanism would you use? We are still seeing that the researchers are considering the impact factor as the most important indicator when we have to assess researchers. So they are concerned about the effects of the quantitative indicators, but at the same time, they are still thinking this as the best mechanism or the most effective mechanism, or the number of citations, which was the second most chosen answer. So this is interesting to see how, despite there are concerns, at the same time, they still consider this mechanism to be very important. So we have to be aware when we introduce change that this is crucial for academics too. And something that was surprising for us, and I have to say a little bit disappointing at the same time, was the little knowledge about initiatives like DORA or Coara, which are two different initiatives, but both of them go in the same direction. They think that it's important to find a balance between the qualitative assessment systems with the quantitative. And despite that, we have been doing a lot of activities of conferences and talks on this, especially on Coara in the last 2 years. The knowledge that our researchers have on both initiatives is very, very low. They score very, very low, as you can see. Coara even below 2. So we saw, and this is about Coara, that only 6% of the people that answered our survey had a real good knowledge about what Coara is. 41% have no knowledge, and 27% almost no knowledge. So we still need to have to do many activities in order to promote the awareness of these topics. At least if we want to make them understand what is happening in academia and what are the key discussions on the evaluation system. We have developed a website in 3 different languages, again in English, with videos and everything about our action plan and about what Coara means. Very short video about Coara and the meaning in different languages. We have organized events and talks about this. 2024, we had already one. This year in September, we will do again a talk only about research assessment coming, and we will have here some of the most important people at the national level on evaluation system. So we will still work on this. On open science is the other big topic that we are working on. I will not be very long on this since you already know all my feelings about this and the importance of the topic. Our own university have a strong structure of open journal system, diamond open journal system, which are no commercial open access model. As we did our training here with University of Louis and our colleagues from Amsterdam, the training only on the topic of open science and open access, which was a very interesting topic. We have been discussing this previously in the MML with very important interventions as well coming from UCC and from other colleagues of CATALISI. So this is a topic that is very relevant for us. And again, here we have been doing some different activities and we got some specific outcomes where CATALISI have played a role. One outcome that we are quite proud of is, well, it's a small document, 22 pages, which is called the Open Access Thermometer. It's like a report in which we analyze the results of 2 years of open access of our university. But for us, the important thing here is to be very concrete about how much open access costs when we are talking about the non-commercial open access and how much the commercial route of open access cost, and the big gap that we see here between one model and the other, because it's not neutral. It's a very hot topic now, and it's an important discussion to have. How much money do we have to invest in order to make publicly available our research? So in this report, we summarize this information, and we do it in a very easy way to understand in order to create some awareness about this in our community. At the same time, in the survey, we have discovered some interesting things. We have launched this a few weeks ago. In the website, you can find the results, again, in Spanish, Valenciano, and some of the parts are in English as well. And this has, well, we got quite some attention on the local media. And one of the big headlines was 90% of our community considers that open science is crucial. Who could be against open science? Everyone, almost everyone, 90% is in favor. That sounds great. It's a great headline. When we were in all the local newspaper, we were happy with this. But when then we look to the survey, what is the knowledge about, how much do they know about the different routes of open science? Well, this has improved in the last years. We had not very good results in 2021, where we already asked this. Now we are a bit better, but still around 50%, a bit more, 52, 53% of our population, for researchers, have very little knowledge about the different routes of open access. So this is a bit paradoxical. We consider open access to be crucial, very important, but we have a very low knowledge about how it really works. And this, well, it's surprising, since we have to consider that the researchers normally are publishing 2, 3, 4, 5 papers a year. So they really have to take decision on this topic every year. So what we are learning from the survey is that we are improving, we are doing steps, we are making different reports, activities, and working with CATALISI and with the members of CATALISI for showing the importance of these topics. But at the same time, there is still an important room of improvement. And we still have challenges in order to, well, to make the university a bit better in the future. Obviously, and we got these reports as well, a good report from the advisory board of CATALISI saying, well, maybe you are not ambitious enough. Maybe this is not radical enough, or it's not, you're not really bringing big transformation at university. And this is right. I mean, it's very difficult to bring change at university, but we are trying to do this with these small activities, and well, we hope to be successful or to improve a little bit more in the next years. Thanks a lot for your attention, and we are open to questions, discussions, arguments, whatever. Thanks.